Welcome, dear listeners. Tonight's tale begins not in gilded ballrooms or soaring penthouses, but at a modest cafe where dreams have deeper roots than polished marble ever could. Before the story unfolds, take a moment. Where are you tuning in from right now? Drop your city or country in the comments. It helps build our community across the globe. If you're as captivated by Billionaire love friction as we are, do us a favor. Hit like, subscribe, and ring that bell so you never miss an emotional twist or tender moment in our next saga. Picture the camera panning over a quaint street at twilight. The amber glow of lanterns dances on rain-slick cobblestones. In the distance, laughter drifts from open windows, mingling with the aroma of freshly baked pastries. You can almost taste the caramel-tinted coffee and buttery croissants. Yet beneath this cozy facade lurks a story of high finance, bitter betrayal, and a love that refuses to stay buried. We're about to descend into that world, where one mistaken sale shatters a family legacy and ignites a fiery attraction that money can't contain. As you settle in, imagine the heart behind the microphone guiding you through every whispered thought and dramatic pause. Our narrator sees all: the steamy kitchen, the glint of regret in the owner's eyes, the piercing gaze of a mogul who never tolerates mistakes. You'll feel every heartbreak, every flicker of hope, and every breathless near-kiss. Already, you sense that fate has a curious way of tying the richest souls to the humblest hearts. But before this journey takes flight, let us pause once more. If you adore slow-burn romance draped in luxury and laden with plot twists, smash that like button below. And if this is your first time here, subscribe now. Join the family of dreamers and drama seekers who relish each sumptuous twist we serve. Comment, "I'm hooked," if you're ready for the ride, and watch as our heroine's world turns upside down with one fatal misstep. Now allow the scene to shift. Beyond the cafe's familiar bells, skyscrapers loom like silent judges against the night sky. Neon reflections ripple on rain-drenched roads. Somewhere above, a private jet hums its way across oceans. A billionaire, our unknowing catalyst, checks his portfolio without a hint of the upheaval he's about to unleash. The city hums around them both, oblivious to the collision of fortunes on the horizon. Our story hinges on a single transaction, accidental yet irrevocable. But before we dive into that fateful moment, let us savor the atmosphere. The hush of expectation in the cafe's back room, the neatly stacked invoices on antique oak counters, the flutter of a young barista's apron as she makes her last order of the night. Every detail will matter when the scales of justice tip. Listeners, here's your first chance to engage. What's your earliest memory of a family heirloom or a cherished tradition? Share it below. As you reminisce, ponder this. How far would you go to reclaim what was taken from you, especially when the other party holds unimaginable power? And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. This story will weave through heartbreak and high-stakes drama, and you won't want to miss a single heartbeat. Now, lean closer. The lights dim, the music swells. Our narrator's voice drops to a hush, inviting you into the intimate world of Claire Beaumont and Alexander Hartwell, the cafe owner and the hospitality titan whose paths will collide in the most dramatic way imaginable. Feel the anticipation crackling in the air as the camera closes in on a weathered ledger, ink smudged from hurried scribbles. Claire's father, now absent, once balanced these books with pride. Tonight, his daughter stands ready to protect that legacy at any cost. But destiny has other plans. In one clipped moment, an innocent misclick, a misplaced signature, everything Claire's family built teeters on the brink. Across town, in a suite lavishly furnished with priceless art, Alexander Hartwell prepares for a board meeting that could cement his empire for decades. Unaware that a simple sale will derail both their lives, he sips vintage champagne from a crystal flute. Listeners, as these two worlds orbit each other, ask yourself, what hidden strengths lie dormant within us, waiting for crisis to awaken them? Share your thoughts below and keep those comments coming. The hum of the cafe's espresso machine fades as silence descends. The screen splits on the left, Claire's trembling hand hovering over a confirmation button. On the right, Alexander's reflection in a manicured window, gaze steely, dominated by ambition. A click echoes, two fates are sealed, But before we plunge into the chaos, take a deep breath. If you love billionaire drama, hit like and subscribe. Echoes one last time, a siren call to hearts yearning for both opulence and authenticity. Our journey starts now. Brace yourself for the echoes of shattered china and the thunder of apology letters. The air is thick with tension. Can a mistake so colossal be mended by love alone? Stay tuned. As the cafe's neon sign flickers off, a new chapter flickers to life, one that will test loyalty, ignite passion, and challenge every assumption. Are you ready to witness how a single misstep can lead to the most unlikely romance? What will happen when Claire discovers her family's cafe has been sold? And when the man behind the signature shows up to pay her back in more ways than one? The story unfolds in Scene 1, glamorous setting. Let's step into Alexander Hartwell's world and peer inside the gilded cage he calls home. What secrets lie behind those crystal chandeliers? What do you think Alexander's first reaction will be when he learns about the mix-up? Let me know in the comments, and prepare for a world where love and power collide. A soft spotlight glints off a towering crystal chandelier, its prisms scattering light across marble floors veined in gold. Each tile shines like a polished jewel, guiding footsteps through Alexander Hartwell's private penthouse. The air is cool, scented faintly of sandalwood and fresh linen. Towering windows frame the city skyline, a lattice of steel and glass that stretches toward dawn. At this height, the world feels small, yet every decision made here reverberates far below. Antique rugs, woven in threads of sapphire and ivory, cushion the hush of bare feet on marble. Unseen servants move silently, securing leather-bound ledgers on dark walnut desks carved with intricate family crests. Walls are lined with first-edition manuscripts and original Impressionist canvases, Monet's lilies, Renoir's sunlit faces. In one corner, a Steinway grand piano sits waiting for delicate fingers, each note capable of softening the hardest boardroom heart. Above, soaring ceilings arch like cathedral vaults, crowned with frescoes painted in calming shades of dove blue and pearly white. Gold filigree scrolls curl around stone ribs, guiding the eye to an oculus at the peak, where sunlight spills in, illuminating every polished surface. It's a space designed to inspire awe and remind guests whose empire they traverse. In the private aviary, exotic birds chatter beneath hanging lanterns of smoked glass. Their iridescent feathers catch the refracted light, creating miniature rainbows that dance on surrounding glass walls. A discreet door leads to the helipad, where a sleek black helicopter waits. Even the sky is an extension of Alexander's domain. One lift ride below, boardroom battles play out, each floor a tier in his empire's hierarchy. On the bar, crystal decanters hold vintage cognacs and rare Japanese whiskeys, their amber hues glowing like molten gold. A small silver tray bears chocolate truffles dusted with edible 24-karat flakes. Every indulgence is effortless here, every desire anticipated. Yet amid this lavish comfort, there's an undercurrent of precision. A ledger open on a mahogany table displays quarterly projections, each figure scrutinized in meticulous detail. Near the floor-to-ceiling windows, Alexander stands alone, glass in hand, surveying his kingdom. His tailored navy suit hugs a powerful frame, cufflinks engraved with the Hartwell lion glinting in the morning light. His dark hair is swept back just enough to reveal a high forehead, an unspoken promise of calculated resolve. When he sips his drink, his gaze remains fixed on the horizon, as though reading the future in the patterns of dawn-lit streets. A discreet chime signals an incoming call. Alexander sets his flute on a mirrored side table. With a single touch on a polished touchscreen interface concealed beneath a lacquered panel, the view shifts. Live feed from the cafe his team acquired earlier today. He watches, detached, as the chef closes up for the night. Sticky notes cluster the manager's desk, reminders to update menus, reorder supplies, schedule renovations. Nothing here seems amiss. Through layers of luxury, though, a quiet tension hums. Photographs on a glass shelf capture Alexander's childhood. A young boy in a sailor suit at his father's yacht club, a teenager accepting a corporate award, a young man at his Harvard graduation. Each image whispers of legacy, expectation, and an unspoken mandate to expand, dominate, and refine. In every polished frame, the same steely eyes glint with unwavering ambition. Beyond the main salon lies a private study, its shelves groaning under first editions and rare artifacts. A marble bust of his great-grandfather presides over a black leather writing chair, where Alexander once penned letters sealing countless mergers. He sometimes returns here late at night, when the city sleeps and secrets awake, to confront the weight of responsibility. The silence offers clarity, and clarity breeds decisions that shape destinies. On the terrace, oversized planters cradle bonsai trees, meticulously pruned to perfection. A waterfall feature spills into a reflecting pool, where koi fish glide like living jewels. From this vantage, Alexander often retreats to think, each ripple in the water a meditation on cause and consequence. The night breeze carries the distant hum of traffic, a reminder that beyond these ivory walls, life continues in chaotic splendor. Yet for all its grandeur, there is no warmth here, no laughter echoing off walls, no casual clutter hinting at human frailty. Only the hush of order maintained at great cost. Alexander's world is a testament to control, where every beauty is curated, every sentiment weighed against profit margins. His circle of allies is small, his trust tightly guarded. Vulnerability is a luxury he cannot afford. Tonight, though, something stirs beneath the veneer of serenity. A discreet alert flashes on his phone, an unfamiliar transaction tagged to the family's historic café. He frowns, brow furrowing. The café in question sits more than 10 miles away, an unassuming storefront known only to locals. Why would his acquisition team touch it today? He glances again, heart rate rising with an uncharacteristic pulse of irritation. A second alert follows. The sale confirmation, time-stamped 1 minute ago. His finger hovers over details, mind calculating the fallout, public relations, community backlash, the family name dragged through gossip columns. The acquisition was unintended, unauthorized. A private asset manager's misclick could cost thousands in goodwill. Worse, the cafe's owner might come looking for answers. And in Alexander Hartwell's world, explanations must be delivered perfectly or face ruin. He straightens, setting aside the cognac. The city's lights flicker as dusk falls, mirroring the turmoil lighting in his dark eyes. The penthouse that once felt like a fortress now seems a gilded cage. A dozen of his most trusted lieutenants will be summoned. Legal teams will mobilize. Image consultants will craft statements. And one woman, whose life he has just upended, will demand reparation. As the final rays of sun retreat behind distant skyscrapers, Alexander steps toward the panoramic window, fists clenched at his sides. He recalls a lesson from his father. Every crisis is an opportunity, Alex. Steel sharpens in the fire. Tonight, the fire has ignited. And when the smoke clears, someone will emerge changed forever. Listeners, imagine standing in Alexander's shoes, towering above a city that bends to your will, yet powerless over a single misplaced click. What would you do first? Retreat into silence, or confront the chaos head-on? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and prepare for Scene 2, where we meet the woman whose world has suddenly collided with this empire of glass and gold. What secrets does that modest cafe hide, and how will its owner react when she discovers her family's legacy has been sold? Stay tuned to find out. Claire Beaumont's earliest memories didn't sparkle with chandeliers or echo with boardroom whispers. She grew up in a cozy 2-story townhouse just off Maple Avenue, where sunlight streamed through lace curtains onto a kitchen table scarred by decades of flour dusting and coffee-ringed cups. Her father, Louis Beaumont, arrived home each evening smelling of espresso and vanilla sugar, his linen apron still stained from the day's dough kneading. He'd sit Claire on the counter, wipe her cheeks with a floury hand, and tell her stories of his youth, of how his grandmother had founded Beaumont's Corner Café after fleeing her war-torn homeland with nothing but recipes scribbled on crumpled paper. By age 6, Claire could recite the family menu backward, from the flaky pain au chocolat to the lavender honey macarons that had become the cafe's signature. She knew that the croissant dough needed 36 folds, that custard must rest precisely 2 hours before baking, and that the secret to the perfect espresso shot lay in the water temperature and pressure. But what fascinated her most wasn't the technique. It was how each pastry carried a memory, a whisper of the women who'd baked before her. Weekends found Claire perched on a wooden crate behind the counter, manning the cash register under her father's gentle supervision. The cafe was always alive with laughter. Retirees gathered over pot after pot of dark roast, students hunched over notebooks, and couples leaning close to share a petite four-cheese tart. Inside that warm hum, Claire felt rooted, safe in the rhythm of whistles, dings, and hushed confidences. Though money was never abundant, the bakery's owners and customers formed an extended family, sharing triumphs, heartbreaks, even childbirth announcements between bites of brioche. School mornings were a different cadence. Claire caught the 7:30 bus in her uniform, navy skirt, white blouse, but daydreamed of sugar-dusted scones and the way the morning light hit the cafe's stained glass window. Her classmates spoke of designer labels and vacation villas. She spoke of proofing dough and perfecting ganache. At times she felt like a fish out of water, her hands rough from kneading while theirs looked manicured and soft. Still, friends gravitated toward her earnest laughter and unwavering loyalty. She was the kind of friend who'd save you a custard-filled eclair after gym class or lend you her father's apron for art projects, stained with more memories than paint. Her mother, Elena, had left when Claire was 10. A whispered scandal circulated. Elena had fallen in love with a charming painter who promised more than a life in a cramped bakery kitchen. One morning, she kissed Claire's forehead, said be brave, and boarded a train to Marseille. Claire never learned how to feel about that departure. Was it freedom, betrayal, or a painful mix of both? She never asked. Instead, she buried her confusion in the rhythm of work. After school, she practiced folding dough, learned to temper chocolate, and experimented with new flavor profiles: rosemary olive oil focaccia, saffron-tinged creme brulee. By 13, her confections were as good as her father's, and the locals whispered that one day she'd take over. The cafe was both sanctuary and crucible. On Saturdays, Claire worked sunrise to sunset, her crisp white cap pinning back strands of chestnut hair as she served table after table with a gentle smile. When tourists in designer sunglasses asked for recommendations, she pointed them to the lavender drizzle madeleines. When elderly patrons complained the seats were too hard, she fetched extra pillows without missing a beat. She learned to read faces, anticipate desires, and soothe frustrations with a complimentary biscotti. Hospitality, she discovered early, was an alchemy of warmth and precision. At 16, tragedy struck. Louis fell ill, a sudden diagnosis of cardiomyopathy that left him weak and breathless. The hospital bills stacked up like unwanted guests. Claire refused to falter. School grades soared even as she logged twice the hours at the cafe. She negotiated with suppliers for extended credit, launched weekend baking workshops to bring in extra cash, and even bartered desserts for medical tests. Each time exhaustion threatened, she closed her eyes and remembered her grandmother's words, spoken in broken English. "We bake because we heal." Those words became her mantra through long nights of oven heat and worry. When Louis finally recovered, the cafe teetered on the brink of bankruptcy. But a late-night pop-up event, Claire's Midnight Macarons, went viral on social media. Food bloggers flocked, lines stretched around the block, orders poured in from distant neighborhoods. Overnight, Beaumont's Corner Cafe became a local sensation. Claire, then 17, stood behind the counter, heart pounding as she filled trays with pastel-tinted shells. She noticed every detail: the flicker of candlelight on eager faces, the silent nods of approval, the tears of joy when customers tasted her father's old-world almond paste. In that moment, she vowed to carry her family legacy forward, no matter what storms lay ahead. High school graduation brought scholarship offers, art history, literature, even hospitality management at prestigious universities. Yet Claire chose a different path. She signed a lease on the vacant space next door and expanded the cafe into a full-service bistro. She hired 2 sous chefs, painted the walls a soothing mint green, and installed Edison bulb chandeliers overhead. The community rallied behind her. Investors offered small loans, and by age 19 she presided over a flourishing neighborhood hub. She balanced books, curated playlists, and even arranged live acoustic nights on Fridays. The little cafe that once struggled now hummed with prosperity, proof that passion and tenacity could outshine any corporate behemoth. Still, Claire's world remained deliberately small. She avoided fancy parties, declined magazine covers, and never used her growing success to chase high society. Her closest confidant was Mara Chen, her childhood best friend and the bistro's manager, whose pragmatic sensibility balanced Claire's creative impulses. Together, they weathered staff shortages, kitchen fires, and the occasional food critic's scathing review. Each challenge deepened their bond, and in Mara's steady gaze, Claire found not only support, but the rare freedom to dream bigger without fear. As the bistro thrived, Claire's own heart stayed guarded. She'd once trusted love. Her first boyfriend was a college musician who serenaded her at sunset, but he'd left after graduation, drawn to a touring life she couldn't follow. The heartbreak stung sharper than any failed soufflé. After that, she poured herself entirely into her work. Late-night menu tastings, charity fundraisers for local schools, mentoring teen bakers who reminded her of herself. In the sanctuary of flour and sugar, she crafted edible art, yet kept her own feelings folded away. Tonight, she's closing up, unaware that the click confirming her cafe's sale just rippled through Alexander's penthouse. In the street outside, a lonely street lamp casts a halo over the cafe's logo, etched glass bearing the Beckham Rose crest. Inside, Claire scribbles tomorrow's specials on a chalkboard menu: roasted beet and goat cheese salad, lavender lemon tartlets, and a new signature, honey fig brulee. She steps back, brushes stray crumbs from her apron, and allows herself a rare moment of pride. Behind her, the bell above the door jingles once, though no customer stands there. The cafe computer screen glows with an open email titled Sale Confirmation. Claire's heart skips. She thought Mara scheduled renovations, not a sale. Her fingers hover over the mouse. How could a transaction of this magnitude have slipped past her? The hum of the espresso machine fades into the hush of night. Outside, a distant siren wails. Claire swallows hard, mind racing. Has her family's legacy just been signed away? And if so, who holds that signature? Claire's breath catches as she stares at the email. Her fingers tremble over the touchpad. Sold, Beaumont's Corner Café, it reads, followed by an unfamiliar signature. A cold wave washes over her. This was supposed to be Mara's design update, not a sale notice. Every memory, her mother's last lullaby, her father's hearty laugh, feels suddenly fragile, suspended on a digital line item. Mara, stacking espresso cups behind the counter, glances up. "Everything okay?" she asks, wiping her hands on a towel. Claire slides the laptop across the counter, voice wavering. "Look at this." Mara peers at the screen, eyes widening. "This can't be real. Who sold it?" Claire shrugs, heart pounding. "No idea." She reloads the message. It remains. The timestamp glows ominously, today at 9:17 p.m. She'd been at the kitchen station until 9 o'clock. Neither she nor Mara ever logged into the acquisitions portal. Fear tightens her chest. Mara's brows knit. "Call the lawyer and your dad." Claire nods, fumbling for her phone. Her pulse drags time into slow motion. Every ring feels like an accusation. Home voicemail clicks on. "Leave a message." She hangs up, voice cracking. "It's Claire, call me back ASAP." The cafe's cozy warmth feels like a furnace, heat pressing in on Claire's skin. She steps back, nearly tripping over a stray wicker basket. Outside, the neon sign flickers, Beaumont's Corner Café, its soft glow now tinged with betrayal. She presses her palms to the window, pressing back tears. Mara loops an arm through hers. "We'll fix this." But Claire shakes her head. "Fix," her voice breaks. "Someone just transferred ownership of my family's legacy. Who does that?" Mara's eyes flash determination. "Alexander Hartwell, most likely. His team handles those acquisitions." Claire's jaw clenches. The name echoes from the luxury magazine she found in a cafe corner months ago, Hospitality Mogul of the Year. His face left her breathless. High cheekbones, storm gray eyes, an air of untouchable control. For a moment, Claire feels a flicker of something else, curiosity. but fear returns cold and unforgiving. Footsteps clatter from the back room. Louis appears, robes wrapped tight, his face ashen beneath untamed silver hair. Claire wraps her arms around him. He inhales sharply, feeling the email print beneath her shaking hands. "What happened?" he asks, jaw set. She pulls away, meets his eyes. "They sold the cafe." His fist slams on the counter, wood rattling. "Who dared?" His voice, usually calm with an undercurrent of kindness, trembles with rage. Claire places a gentle hand over his. "We don't know yet, but I'm going to find out." Later, in the quiet of Claire's small office, they pore over the sale confirmation. Account details, transaction ID, the Hartwell signature. The legal fine print reads like a gauntlet. No refunds, no reversals. Claire's heart sinks. It's not merely a bureaucratic hiccup, it's a final decree. She slams the laptop shut. Night deepens outside. The street lamp's halo shrinks to a pinpoint through rain-smeared glass. Claire pushes to her feet. "I need to see him," she murmurs. Louis exhales a weary sigh. "Be careful. He isn't known for mercy." A plan forms in Claire's mind, an audacious plan. She'll confront Hartwell in person tomorrow. She'll demand answers, fight for her family's heritage, and refuse to cower. Mara hands her a thermos of strong coffee and a flask of Grandma Beaumont's spiced syrup, meant to calm nerves, not ignite them. That night, Claire sleeps fitfully, dreams laced with broken porcelain and thunderous gavel strikes. She wakes before dawn, resolve steeled. In a simple black dress, she drives to Hartwell's corporate headquarters, an ivory tower rising above glassy fountains and manicured lawns. Her reflection trembles in the tinted windows as she ascends the steps. Inside the lobby, marble pillars soar toward a polished ceiling. A receptionist in crisp gray greets her with a polite arch of the brow. Claire's voice holds steady. "I'm here to see Mr. Hartwell." The clerk eyes her handbag, the coffee thermos, the look of quiet defiance in her green eyes. "Mr. Hartwell is in a private meeting," she replies. "May I ask your business?" Claire's pulse hammers. "I'm the previous owner of Beaumont's Corner Café. I need to speak with him about an unauthorized sale." The receptionist's lips tighten. "I see. Please take a seat. I'll let him know you're here." The waiting area hushes like a tomb. Claire watches the seconds stretch. Each tick of the lobby clock threatens to erode her courage. But she clings to one image, her grandmother's gentle smile, urging her to fight. Finally, the doors swing open and a tall aide appears. "Miss Beaumont," Claire stands, voice steady despite the adrenaline. "Yes," the aide gestures. "Mr. Hartwell will see you now." Claire steps into an elevator lined with mirrored panels. The doors close, sealing her in silence. Each floor the car passes feels like another beat closer to reckoning. The elevator stops on the 45th floor. Doors slide open onto a pristine hallway. Carpet muffles her footsteps as she follows the aide to a sleek glass door etched with Alexander Hartwell, CEO. The aide opens the door without knocking. Inside, Alexander stands behind a wide desk, scanning documents. His gaze lifts to Claire, her black dress, frayed edges of steel and fear. He gestures to a leather guest chair. "Miss Beaumont," he says, voice cool but not unkind. "Please sit." Claire settles, fists clasped in her lap. The office hums with quiet power. Silver awards glinting on shelves, a gentle trickle from a tabletop waterfall. Alexander rises, walking to a wall-length window. He watches the city wake below as if contemplating whether to spare her fate. Finally, he turns. "I understand your cafe was sold today." His tone is factual, almost distant. Claire's chest tightens. "Unauthorized." She meets his gaze. "I never approved a sale." His storm gray eyes narrow. "The paperwork bears my signature." She leans forward. "You didn't sign it." Heat flares in her cheeks. Alexander folds his arms. "Then your asset manager misfiled. It's an unfortunate error." Claire's voice trembles. "Unfortunate? That cafe is my life, my family's legacy." He studies her, so young, yet aflame with conviction. His lips curve slightly. "Legacy can be rebuilt." Claire's breath hitches at the cruelty in those words. "Not like this." He steps closer, lowering his voice. "Calm down, we'll negotiate. I'm willing to sell it back for the right price." Claire's heart sinks. "Money isn't the point." Alexander fingers the edge of his desk. Everything is money. Silence stretches. Claire recalls her father's strength, how he fought through illness, poverty, betrayal. She wills her voice steady. This isn't a commodity. It's a piece of my soul. His expression shifts, intrigue flickering behind the polished mask. Claire notices, for the first time, a spark beneath his reserve, a recognition that this fight means more than profit. Before she can press further, the office phone chimes. Alexander glances at it, then back to her. "We'll discuss terms," he says, voice cool. "My assistant will contact you." He gestures to the door. Claire rises, legs unsteady but determined. She meets his gaze one last time. "I'm not negotiating a price. I'm negotiating respect." He inclines his head, an unspoken challenge accepted. Claire turns, her pulse racing. Outside, the aide waits. As the door closes, she exhales, mind swirling with the knowledge that this confrontation is only the beginning. What would you do if you faced a titan of industry and refused to back down? Comment below. And brace yourself for Scene 3, the inciting incident that will shatter both their worlds. Claire raced through the cafe's back hall, heart hammering like a percussion drum. The faint whir of the espresso grinder trembled in her ears. Mara's voice floated after her. "Be careful, Claire." She didn't reply. Every step echoed on worn hardwood, as though the walls themselves whispered betrayal. In the small office, Claire flung open the filing cabinet. Manila folders spilled onto the desk, each labeled in her careful cursive. Suppliers, menu development, community events. Now, ownership transfer glowed on her laptop screen. Cold dread curled in her stomach. Outside, a distant rumble of traffic rose to a roar. Through the rain-speckled window, the neon cafe sign blurred into a halo of crimson and white. Claire's world narrowed to the blinking cursor on the email. Click confirm. It showed yes in bold red. Her hand hovered. Then a flash of white light from the monitor, Alexander's corporate logo etched into her mind. The same symbol she'd stared at in the penthouse lobby. Her breath caught. How had his empire infiltrated her sanctuary? Mara's phone buzzed. She returned, face pale. "They scheduled the transfer for tonight's quiet hours," she whispered. "Legal says it's binding." Claire's chest tightened. "There has to be a loophole." She rifled through the contract clauses. Each sentence read like a verdict. A soft knock sounded at the door. Louis stepped in, cane tapping the floor. His eyes, usually gentle, burned with indignation. "My daughter," he said softly, "your grandmother's recipes didn't survive wars to end at a misclick." Claire met his gaze, tears threatening. "I know, Dad. I'm going to stop this." Lightning flashed outside, illuminating the framed family photograph on the wall. 3 generations in aprons, flower-dusted smiles lighting their faces. The image seemed to pulse with urgency. Claire reached up, fingers trembling, and touched the glass. "The sale goes through in 12 hours, Mara said, tapping her phone. "I already called every contact I have, lawyers, journalists, community leaders, but it's a long shot." Claire drew a breath. "Then we fight." She drafted a message to Hartwell's assistant, demanding an immediate reversal. Every word burned with righteous fury. She hit send before guilt could wave its caution flag. Seconds later, an automated reply confirmed. "Your request has been received." Claire sank into the leather chair, exhaustion flooding her limbs. The cafe's fluorescent lights felt harsh, the ticking clock a cruel metronome. Through the window, the city hummed on, unconcerned with her family's fate. She closed her eyes, willing herself to breathe. Her phone buzzed again, this time a news alert. "Hospitality mogul acquires boutique cafes in surprise expansion." The headline glowed on the screen with Hartwell's photo, arms crossed, triumphant. Claire's chest constricted. How many others? How many livelihoods trampled? She rose, shoulders squared. "We'll hold an emergency town meeting," she declared. Mara nodded, pulling on her coat. "Let's rally the community." They stormed out together, rain splashing around their ankles. At the corner of Maple and Fifth, where families once queued for morning lattes, a crowd had gathered under umbrellas. News had spread fast. The sale, Hartwell's signature, the impending deadline. Faces flashed with anger and disbelief. A local teacher, Mrs. Kendrick, held aloft a coffee cup scrawled with "Save Our Café." Claire climbed a folding chair, rain dripping from her hair. Silence fell. "Friends," she began, voice ringing clear, "this cafe is more than a business. It's our gathering place, our second home. And tonight, it's being ripped away by a man who's never set foot in our neighborhood." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. A hand shot up, an elderly regular Mr. Diaz. "But how can we stop him?" Claire swallowed, glancing at Mara. "We protest, petition, and, if necessary, use every legal avenue. We remind Hartwell that community matters more than profit." A cheer rose, umbrellas bobbing like a storm-tossed sea. Lightning split the sky. Claire's heart flared with purpose. The stakes were immense. Her family legacy, her father's health, the livelihoods of every barista and baker. Yet in that electric moment, she felt something unexpected, a spark of defiance that eclipsed fear. As the crowd dispersed to spread the word, Claire and Mara remained under the flickering street lamp. Mara laid a hand on her shoulder. "You're not alone," she said. Claire nodded, resolve steeled. "Tomorrow, I face him again, this time with everyone behind me." Lightning flashed once more, and thunder rolled across the city. The inciting incident had detonated. What would Alexander Hartwell's reaction be when he hears that the community is rising against him? The cafe's fate, and both their hearts, now teeter on a knife's edge. What would you do if your home were under threat and your entire neighborhood rallied by your side? Share your thoughts below and brace for Scene 3, Part 2, where Claire confronts Hartwell with the weight of her community behind her. The next morning, dawn's pale light found Claire perched on a folding chair outside Hartwell's headquarters. Behind her, 24 neighbors hugged thermoses and homemade signs. "Community over conglomerates. Hands off our heritage." Claire took a deep breath, heart thrumming like a drum. Inside the lobby, the receptionist offered a tight smile. "Mr. Hartwell will see you now." Claire led her entourage through marble corridors, each echo amplifying her resolve. Reporters hovered in the wings, cameras aimed and ready. In the CEO's office, Alexander stood before the window, back to them. The city spread beneath his feet like a glittering tapestry. He didn't turn as the group filed in, but his posture shifted, shoulders stiffening. Claire stepped forward, voice steady. "Mr. Hartwell, I brought the community you're about to displace." She gestured to the crowd behind her. Murmurs rippled through the room. Alexander finally turned, eyes widening at the sea of determined faces. He raised a hand, signaling silence. "I understand you have grievances," he said, tone carefully neutral. "But the sale is legally binding." Claire's father moved beside her, cane tapping softly. "Legal," he echoed. "Justice isn't always found in ink and signatures." Alexander's gaze flicked to Louis, then back to Claire. "My acquisition team followed protocol. This transaction was approved at every level." Claire swallowed. "We didn't approve it, none of us did. You've uprooted lives without consent." The reporters clicked in unison. The silence pressed in. Alexander crossed to his desk, steepling his fingers. "Community is important to me," he said slowly. "But so is progress. I've revitalized neighborhoods, created jobs." A woman near Claire shook her head. "At the cost of our culture." Alexander's jaw tightened. He motioned to an assistant, whispering. The aide stepped forward, clipboard in hand. "Mr. Hartwell, there's a petition with 3,000 signatures already." The assistant slid it across the desk. Alexander's eyes flicked to the thick stack. For the first time, Alexander's controlled facade cracked. He met Claire's gaze with something like respect and something else, something unfamiliar. 3,000, he murmured. He turned to the receptionist. "Lock the lobby doors. No one leaves until I decide." Hearts pounded. Claire felt marshaled adrenaline, joy, fear, hope. She stood taller, voice ringing clear. "Then let us negotiate terms that honor our heritage, not erase it." Alexander studied her, then nodded once sharply. "Very well. Meet me in the boardroom in 1 hour." As the crowd shuffled out, doors unlocked, Claire exhaled, knees trembling. Reporters clamored around her, microphones thrust forward. She offered a small smile. "This is only the beginning," she said. "And next time I won't come alone." Outside, thunder rolled overhead. The heavens seemed to mirror the storm within the boardroom. Claire glanced at her neighbors, their faces alight with hope. Together, they would stand against the Mogul's might. What would you demand if you held the power to force a billionaire to the negotiating table? Share below and stay tuned for Scene 4, Emotional Fallout, where alliances shift and hidden motives emerge. Claire returned to the cafe midday, nerves jangling like a loose wire. Mara greeted her with a tentative smile. "How did it go?" Claire sank onto a stool, pressing her palms to her temples. "He's agreed to negotiate," she whispered. Relief flickered, then dimmed. Negotiations meant uncertainty. Louis set a steaming latte before her. The cafe's familiar warmth felt foreign now, tainted by corporate conflict. He studied her, concern pooling in his eyes. "You okay?" Claire forced a nod. "I will be, but I thought I was ready until I saw his face so unyielding." Mara wrapped an arm around Claire's shoulders. "You held your ground. That was brave." Claire let Mara's words anchor her, though doubt clawed at her confidence. Even success on the negotiating table could come at a steep cost. She glanced at the chalkboard. Tomorrow's special, Hartwell's redemption tart. The idea made her flinch. Back in the penthouse, Alexander paced his study, mind racing. His assistant's memo lay open, 3,000 signatures, a public storm brewing. He prided himself on control, yet Claire's defiance stirred something unexpected, a spark of grudging admiration. His empire was vast, but this cafe represented more than numbers. It held stories. Late that afternoon, Mara and Claire reviewed community proposals. A heritage trust, carking events, profit-sharing plans. They laughed at some wild ideas and scraped others. Each suggestion felt like a brushstroke in reclaiming their identity. Still, Claire's gaze kept drifting to her phone, no call from Hartwell. As dusk settled, a single message popped up. "Boardroom in 30. Claire's heart lurched. Louis squeezed her hand. "You've got this." She rose, steeling herself against doubt. Inside the boardroom, reporters clustered beyond the glass walls, cameras poised. Alexander sat at the head of the table, blending ice-blue steel with faint curiosity. Claire and Mara entered, clutching their proposals. The air crackled with expectation, tension, the promise of change. Alexander stood, folding his hands. "Let's begin," he said, voice smooth. Claire laid her plan on the table. The next moments would shape not only their futures, but the soul of an entire community. Will Alexander honor their heritage, or will power override empathy? Stay tuned for the next twist. The boardroom door swung open, and Alexander Hartwell entered, flanked by 2 aides. His tailored charcoal suit and calm stride contrasted the storm of emotions in Claire's chest. Light from the floor to ceiling windows traced his silhouette, revealing a man accustomed to command. He paused, scanning the community's hand-written proposals strewn across the polished mahogany table. Claire met his gaze, steady yet vulnerable. "Our trust model ensures the cafe stays in local hands," she began. Alexander nodded, eyes narrowing ever so slightly. He reached into his jacket and produced a sleek tablet. "I reviewed your plan. Impressive," he said. "But I intend to add one condition." Murmurs rippled through Claire's small team. He tapped the screen. A slide appeared. "Hartwell-Beaumont Partnership." Beneath the title, bullet points detailed a profit-sharing scheme and a new cafe launch in Hartwell's flagship hotel, featuring Claire as creative director. The twist hit Claire like a thunderclap. He wasn't just returning her cafe, he wanted her artistry to fuel his empire. Claire's breath caught. A win could become a gilded cage. Her mind raced. Accept influence or risk losing her independence. Alexander met her silent question with a slight curve of his lips, as though he'd read her every doubt. Mara leaned in, whispering, "This could secure the cafe forever." Claire's heart wavered between pragmatism and pride. Alexander raised a hand. "Decide by tomorrow morning," he said quietly, voice like velvet over steel. Then he turned and departed, leaving a hush of awe and a single, electrifying question. What would you do in Claire's shoes? Seize the chance to safeguard her legacy with a partner she barely knows, or walk away to protect her independence? Share below. Morning light filters through gauzy curtains as Claire replays Alexander's proposal in her mind. Over coffee, Mara urges caution. "You'd gain resources, but at what cost?" Claire's father rises from the table, voice gentle yet firm. Our legacy was never meant to be a footnote in his empire. Word of the Hartwell-Beaumont partnership leaks to local reporters before Claire can issue a statement. By noon, gossip columns speculate she's selling out for fame. Outside the cafe, umbrellas flap as tourists snap photos of hastily scrawled, "Closed for a private meeting" signs. The community's cheers have turned to murmurs of doubt. At Beaumont's family meeting that evening, Claire's uncle Vincent, chairman of the local historic preservation board, issues a dire warning. Once you tie our name to Hartwell, you lose control. They'll replace your recipes with standardized menus before you know it. His tone carries the weight of generations. Claire's resolve wavers. Meanwhile, in a penthouse boardroom, Alexander faces his own rebellion. His mother, Celeste Hartwell, the family matriarch, summons him for tea. Silver-rimmed china trembles in her hand. "A cafe partnership? At our expense?" Her accusation echoes off velvet walls. She warns of shareholder unrest and dipping stock prices. Alexander's jaw tightens. His empire cannot crack. Back at the cafe, Claire scrolls through online comments. She's betraying the neighbors. Just a publicity stunt. Mara places a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "Let's host a community bake-off fundraiser. Show them your heart." Claire nods, determination rekindled. That night, Claire drafts invitations for every neighbor, every local columnist, even the tireless Mrs. Kendrick from the protest. She sketches flyers beside the chalkboard specials, breathless with possibility. Steam from her father's late-night espresso swirls in the lamplight. News vans roll up at dawn. Cameras glare through windows as the community gathers for muffins and muffins alone. No cameras invited. Claire stands behind the counter, flour dusting her hands, every nerve alight. Through the lens, she glimpses Vincent's anxious frown and Celeste's poised glare at the cafe sign. Outside, a lone limousine idles. The engine's purr coils with tension. Claire glances up. Is Alexander arriving to witness her defiance, or to bring another twist that could shatter her world? What would you do if family and fortune both turned against you? Comment below. Dawn's first light filters through the cafe's lace curtains as Claire unlocks the door. A polished silver tray awaits on the counter. 2 cups of chamomile tea, steam curling in the cool morning air. No note, just the warmth of an unexpected gesture. She traces the delicate porcelain rim with trembling fingers, wondering which of her rivals would offer such a peace offering. Later, in the back room turned makeshift studio, Claire discovers a small sketchbook tucked beneath a stack of packaging boxes. The pages hold charcoal drawings of her grandmother's recipes, croissants in mid-rise, eclairs in meticulous cross-section. Each stroke is intimate, reverent, as though the artist sought to immortalize her heritage. Claire runs her thumb along the edge of a page, breath catching at the tender tribute. That evening, the cafe closes early. Alexander Hartwell steps through the door in plain clothes. No entourage, no cameras. He carries a folded blanket and 2 steaming mugs. Without a word, he leads Claire out back to the small rooftop garden, where city lights shimmer like distant stars. He sets the blanket down and pours the tea into chipped mugs rescued from the cafe's oldest cupboard. As they settle side by side, the clink of china punctuates the night's hush. Claire feels the hedge of her defenses soften. He offers her a whisper of a smile, lifting his mug in a silent toast. Across the gardenscape of ferns and fairy lights, their reflections mingle in the glass pane behind them. 2 silhouettes drawn irresistibly together by shared vulnerability. Under the glow of street lamps, Claire's heartbeat slows. She remembers her mother's lullaby, soft notes that once soothed a frightened child. Now, in this unlikely sanctuary atop a corporate tower, she finds solace in Hartwell's quiet presence. The city's hum fades into background music for a moment neither expected. What would you do in Claire's shoes, caught between defiance and a surprising tenderness? Comment below. And if you're loving this slow burn tension, hit like and subscribe to see what happens next. Late afternoon light slants through the cafe's front windows as the door chime tinkles. Claire glances up, expecting Mara or a supplier. Instead, she finds herself staring at Gabriel Santos, her college boyfriend, guitar slung over one shoulder, that easy grin now edged with regret. His eyes flick to the closed for bake-off sign, then back to Claire's apron. Mind if I come in? He asks softly. The cafe's warmth suddenly feels stifling. Claire's pulse spikes. She thought she'd left him behind along with those sunset serenades. Gabriel sets down his guitar case and removes a single sun-faded rose. I heard about the sale, he says, voice low, and I heard you've been through hell. He offers the flower like a peace treaty. Claire's breath hitches at the memory of shared dreams, road trips, midnight melodies, promises that dissolved when his tour took off. She stiffens. You left, she reminds him, tone guarded. Gabriel's gaze darkens with apology. I know. I was selfish, but I never forgot you or this place. He glances around the cafe as though seeing it for the first time. It's in danger again. Claire grips the countertop. Each counter-argument tumbles in her mind. He abandoned her when ambition called. Yet his presence now feels strangely comforting amidst corporate chaos. Gabriel steps closer, pulling a tablet from his jacket. On its screen, a crowd-sourced fundraiser page, over $5,000 raised overnight to support the cafe's legal fees. Her chest tightens. You did this, Gabriel nods. I reached out to our old music community. People still love Beaumont's Corner. Claire's eyes prick with tears of gratitude and frustration. Why now? He asks gently. Because you deserve more than a not-for-sale sign, he replies. Beyond the counter, patrons hover in hushed anticipation. Claire's world tilts between past hurt and present hope. Gabriel's return could be her salvation or open wounds she'd sworn to heal. If you were Claire, would you accept help from someone who once broke your heart? Comment below. A makeshift stage stands in the town square, flanked by towering banners proclaiming Save Beaumont's Corner and Community over Conglomerates. Reporters jockey for position behind a row of microphones. Fluorescent lights glare off polished nameplates. Claire steps forward in a crisp blazer, heart hammering beneath her chest. She lifts a trembling hand. Silence falls. Flashbulbs pop like fireworks. Thank you all for coming, she begins, voice clear despite the tremor. This cafe isn't just my family's livelihood, it's our neighborhood's heart. Murmurs ripple through the crowd. Suddenly, Alexander strides onto the platform beside her, suit impeccably tailored, expression unreadable. The crowd gasps. He raises a hand for calm. I invited myself here, he announces, gaze sweeping over Claire's allies. Because I owe you an answer. Reporters scribble, cameras pivot. Claire's pulse spikes. She swallows. Alexander continues. I underestimated what Beaumont's Corner means to this community and to Miss Beaumont herself. He turns to her, voice softer. I propose a permanent heritage fund, co-managed by your family and mine, to protect this cafe and others like it from future takeover. A collective sigh of relief rises. But then Alexander's assistant steps forward, handing him a folder. He opens it, revealing charts and projections. However, he says, tone cooling, this fund requires a stake in my new flagship cafe designed by Miss Beaumont. The crowd shifts, uncertainty rippling. Claire's chest tightens. She glances at her father, whose jaw tenses, and at Gabriel, whose hopeful eyes flicker with caution. The press leans in. Claire inhales. Community protection, she begins, voice steadying, is worth collaboration, but not at the expense of our independence, reporters murmur. Alexander's storm gray eyes flash. He folds the folder closed. Then we stand at an impasse. He steps back, signaling security. Claire's heart clenches as his bodyguards move in. Cameras whirl. Before the guards reach her, Gabriel steps forward, guitar in hand. He strums a single, resonant chord that echoes across the square. Claire's eyes widen. The tension breaks, just slightly, as music threads through the hush. Alexander pauses, gaze flicking between Claire and Gabriel. The crowd leans forward. Claire lifts her chin, voice rising above the chord. If you believe in community, in heritage, then stand with us. A ripple of applause erupts, hesitant, hopeful, defiant, but Alexander's expression remains inscrutable. The music fades. Flashbulbs flare once more. The future of Beaumont's Corner and Claire's own heart now hang in the balance. What would you do if you were Claire, torn between a public victory and the private cost of compromise? Comment below. Dawn breaks over the square, where remnants of last night's uproar lie in scattered leaflets and fallen flowers. Claire stands before Alexander, private now, away from cameras and crowds. The hush between them thrums with unspoken tension. He produces a small velvet box. Claire's breath catches. She thought negotiations would never feel this personal. He opens it to reveal a delicate key engraved with the Beaumont rose crest. "This unlocks the original cafe's safe," he says softly. "Inside are your grandmother's recipes and the deeds I rescinded last night." Tears pool in Claire's eyes. She reaches for the key, fingers trembling. "Why?" she whispers. Alexander steps closer, voice gentle. "Because I see you, and what this place means. I was wrong to treat it as just another asset." Claire slides the key into his open palm, tears spilling free. "I needed to know you understood." He lifts her hand to his lips, pressing a kiss to her knuckles as the first customers of the day arrive, cheering softly from the terrace above. Overhead, the cafe's new awning flutters in the breeze, painted teal with gold lettering. "Beaumont's Corner, a Hartwell and Beaumont legacy." A crowd gathers, clapping as Claire and Alexander stand side by side. He sweeps his arm around her waist. She leans into him, heart finally unguarded. In that moment, beneath the gentle morning light, every betrayal and struggle melts into an embrace of hope. Their joined shadows stretch across cobblestones, two paths converging into one. Is this the happily ever after they both deserve? Let us know below. And get ready for scene 11, where Claire's passion project takes flight, powered by love, community, and a touch of billionaire sparkle. Weeks later, Dawn finds the cafe's back room transformed into a bright workshop. Long oak tables bear rolling pins, bowls of flour, and jars of infused honeys. Above the door, a hand-painted sign reads, "Beaumont's Baking Academy, free community classes." Claire moves between stations, guiding local teens as they fold dough, teaching each the art of patience and precision. Alexander slips in quietly, carrying a stack of branded aprons bearing both the Hartwell lion and the Beaumont rose. He drapes one over Claire's shoulders, and she glances up with a grateful smile. No press, no boardroom, just the warmth of shared purpose. His support has stayed behind the scenes, funding scholarships, sourcing organic ingredients, and installing new ovens. Outside, parents and neighbors gather on bistro chairs, sipping coffee brewed by Mara. Laughter drifts through open windows, punctuated by the rumble of the old espresso machine humming anew. Mr. Diaz and Mrs. Kendrick exchange knowing nods, while local reporters casually snap photos. Today's story is about hope, not headlines. Claire kneels beside a young girl struggling with her pastry. "Remember," she says gently, "baking is as much about heart as it is heat." The child's eyes light up as her dough springs to life. Nearby, Gabriel tunes his guitar for the evening's live set, his music now the cafe's new tradition. As the sun dips, Claire steps outside onto the small terrace. The cafe's facade glows in soft fairy lights, and beneath the awning, a bronze plaque proclaims, "In partnership with Alexander Hartwell, preserving heritage, building futures." She inhales the crisp air, heart full. What passion project would you launch in your own community? Comment below, and let's inspire each other to make a difference. Thank you for joining Claire's journey, from a misclick that threatened everything to a legacy reborn through courage, community, and unexpected love. If you've savored every twist and tear, please like this video, share it with fellow drama lovers, and subscribe for the next emotional roller coaster. Next time, prepare for a story of high-stakes art theft, a reclusive heiress, and a master forger whose secrets could topple dynasties. Hit the bell so you don't miss a single heartbeat. Until then, keep dreaming big, standing up for what matters, and believing in the power of second chances. We'll see you soon. Love, conflict, and cliffhangers await. Like, share, and subscribe for more billionaire dramas.